Franklin had a lot of concerns about immigrants, in particular German immigrants. According to him, they weren't the sharpest tools in the shed, so to speak. He famously wrote this about them, quote, "Those who come hither are generally of the most ignorant, stupid sort of their own nation." Ouch. But he goes on to say that the Germans struggled to adapt to the local way of life here in America. In his eyes, the German immigrants posed a threat to New England's whiteness because of their, quote, "swarthy complexion," unquote. Franklin even worried that Pennsylvania, which was founded by the English, would end up more German instead of the German immigrants embracing English language and custom. He said, "Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens who will be shortly so numerous as to Germanize us instead of us Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion." And guess what? Benjamin Franklin was actually not the only founding father who had concerns about German immigrants back in the day. Alexander Hamilton, the brilliant mind we all know from the musical, also had his reservations. He actually believed that an influx of foreigners would create a mishmash of cultures and it would corrupt the national spirit and complicate public opinion. Funny enough, to support his view, Alexander Hamilton actually pointed to a precedent in which being open to foreigners was detrimental. And what he pointed to was the extermination of the indigenous peoples of the Americas. And he said on that, quote, "Perhaps a lesson is here taught which ought not to be despised." That saying that the Native Americans shouldn't have been as friendly to the settlers as they were. Look what happened to him. And then he's turning that around and saying, look, maybe we should look at what happened to them and not be so welcoming to these immigrants. Now, even Thomas Jefferson, the author of the Declaration of Independence, felt a bit uneasy about German immigrants forming their own communities and holding on to their language, their habits, and their principles of government. He wrote, "As to other foreigners, it is thought better to discourage their settling together in large masses," Jefferson wrote, "wherein, as in our German settlements, they preserve for a long time their own languages, habits, and principles of government." Benjamin Franklin also wrote this in a letter. He said, quote, "Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionately very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia is chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, the French, the Russians, and the Swedes are generally of what we call swarthy complexions." The Swedes are swarthy.